Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Welcome to your Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Percy Dehne. This is your weather for May 31st, 2017. You can follow us also at weather.gov//Alaska. Also, you can call 1-800-472-0391. Starting off, for fire danger, we have high conditions here over the Copper River Basin as well over the eastern Alaska Range. Putting the satellite in the loop, we have a low pressure system sitting over here just west of Dutch. So you have southeasterly flow and plenty of moisture being streaming northward into the Bering, as well as over the western Aleutians. That we have a occluded system that's starting to move into the western Aleutians. So you get a little bit of a high cirrus shield here starting to form. Then over the southeast, Southeast Panhandle, you have a low pressure system just sitting south of Sitka. So a cyclonic flow here with the clouds, and then some moisture moving farther inland. And then as you go farther north through Dead Horse region, you have another low pressure system that's sitting in this region right here with plenty of cloud sheared here to the east, just north of Watson Lake. Otherwise, it's south central and the central interior and southwest, predominantly all high pressure here. Clear skies, beautiful day today. Some clouds over the Brooks Range in the Arctic Slope region. Otherwise, some of the clouds, again, are along with this cold front that's moving into this region farther north here, just north of the Arctic Village over the eastern Brooks Range here. We're going to have some clouds moving into that region there. Otherwise, there's another system that's moving over the northern Siberian region. That's going to bring some clouds into the region eastward tomorrow. Today's weather, here's a low pressure system that I mentioned before that's sitting over Dutch with the trough extending out into the central and northern Bering. Again, you're going to have scattered showers associated with this, and you're going to have that occluded system that's starting to approach the western Aleutians, bringing some precipitation with that and a cirrus cloud shield with that as well. Here's that low pressure system that's farther north over the Beaufort Sea. Is bringing some scattered showers along the northwest coastline. And then a wintry mix as you go farther east, east of Dead Horse, some wintry mix right there. Otherwise, the southeast, you're going to have Panhandle, you're going to have that included low pressure system, 999 millibars, and this front is producing some kicking off some showers along the southeast Panhandle. Otherwise, high pressure dominating pretty much the southeast and southwest and interior, mostly sunny skies. Otherwise, you do have a low pressure system that's sitting farther north of Skagway, and that's bringing some scattered showers with that. Tonight's forecast, again, the high pressure system dominating over the north slope, as well as the ridge of high pressure extending all the way down to the Anchorage Bowl in the southwest region. So you're going to have beautiful skies for tonight. Otherwise, a trailing cold front, not a cold front, but a trough that's swinging through the central Aleutians. That'll continue to bring some scattered showers. And then the southeast, again, that occluded low pressure system is starting to fill. It's going to just sit there and continue to spit off some moisture off into the southeast Panhandle with this southeasterly flow here. Otherwise, beautiful conditions in the interior. Thursday's forecast, that occluded system that's approaching the western Aleutians. That'll bring a wintry mix west of Shemya, but the warmer temperatures will be east of Shemya, so you're going to have scattered showers with that, and a little bit of drizzle in the northern Bering. Otherwise, the south central, you're going to, again, that occluded low pressure system is falling apart. So you're going to have weak short waves that are going to spin around this and spit some scattered showers throughout the southeast panhandle. And then on the back side of the system, you'll have a northeasterly flow, and that'll bring some moisture into the eastern Kenai, extending on the Kodiak and the Alaska Peninsula. Farther north, you have the high pressure dominating the northern slope, and then high pressure ridge extending all the way down to the Anchorage Bowl and the lower Kuskokwim Valley. So beautiful conditions for Thursday. For Friday, that included low pressure system is going to move farther east and then gradually continue to fill, but it'll bring rain and scattered showers south of the chain. Otherwise, farther north, high pressure dominating the northern Bering, the Bering Strait, as well as over the Beaufort Sea. So beautiful conditions for Friday, basically from Seward Peninsula northward through the Bricks Range. Southeast, you have that included low pressure system that's falling apart, dissipating. You will have a chance of isolated thunderstorms through the Dixon entrance. So otherwise, you'll have predominantly all moisture, rain throughout the southeast panel, extending all the way to the Anchorage Bowl. You're going to have some weak lows forming over the Alaska Range, so that'll kick off some scattered showers through the lower Kuskokwim Valley along the Alaska Range in the Anchorage Bowl. And then temperatures as of 2 p.m. today, southeast panhandle, you had 58 at Kloak, 63 at Seward, a little warmer there. The high temperatures at 2 p.m. was at Skagway and Yakutat. And also through this south central region, you had 70 at Talkeetna. The high temperature as of 4 p.m. today, though, was Skagway and Talkeetna. They both came in at 72 degrees. Otherwise, you had 68 at Valdez and 63 at Anchorage. Along the farther south, you had 52 at Kodiak City, and then along the chain, pretty much in the Alaska Peninsula, in the upper 50s to lower 60s. As of 2 p.m., then the southwest interior, pretty much all in the mid 60s. You had 66 at Sleep Mute, 50 there at excuse me, I was going to say that's at Nunavak, but I forgot that region right now, right off the top of my head, but 33 at Gamble. You go farther north, you got cooler temperatures. Barrow coming at 33, Point Hope coming at 33, and 34 at Tin City. And then just mention along the chain here, you have Lagoon Nelson coming at 45, 46 at Dutch, the Pribilos 43 and 46, and then there's at 50 at Tuksuk, which I couldn't remember earlier. And then along farther west of the chain, you're going to have 45 and 46 at Atka and Adak, and then Shemya's coming in a little cooler at 41 degrees. Tonight's low temperatures, the coolest temperatures are going to be, again, with the high pressure up here, cooler winds, temperatures here, and cooler air filtering in. You can have temperatures in the pretty much mid-20s. They start being modified again with this high pressure sitting over here along the southwest interior. So they're going to be in the upper 30s to lower 40s. The southeast panhandle will be the warmest temperatures, again with this high pressure ridges sitting over to south of them. So they're going to be in the mid 40s to 50 there at Annette. And tomorrow's high temperatures, not surprising, the highest temperatures will be, again, with this high pressure ridge extending through the southwest and the central interior. You'll have 71 at McGrath, 71 at Fairbanks. A little cooler as you go farther north along the Brooks Range and that high pressure system, while cooler air in this region right here. Always along the chain, you're going to be in the upper 40s to lower 50s, and a little cooler there at Shemya coming in at 43. The southeast, well, again, we'll have pretty warm temperatures for tomorrow as well. 62 at Skagway and 56 at Sitka and 58 at Annette. Tomorrow's flying. IFR to marginal VFR conditions, again, will be pretty much throughout the Bering with that occluded system starting to push in, and then that extended trough extending out through the Bering and the chain. Farther north, this is for the morning, again, with that system that's pushing through here and the high pressure sitting, so you get fog conditions like that, so lower visibility is there. And then with that onshore push through the southeast panhandle, you're going to have IFR to marginal VFR conditions as well, with short waves pushing through in this region, and lower conditions just south of Kodiak. And then for the afternoon, pretty much the same conditions throughout the western Aleutians and the western Bering and the central Bering, with the trailing trough, and the occluded system is starting to push into the western Bering. Otherwise, conditions will start to improve with the sun starting to burn off some of the fog. Otherwise, the worst conditions would be up through the Chukchi Sea. Southeast, again, they'll improve to marginal VFR conditions through the afternoon there. Worst conditions will be just sitting right off the coast, and the same thing for just south of Kodiak. Tomorrow's flying conditions. AKwx, IFR to VFR conditions. Adigan, IFR to VFR conditions. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR conditions. Rainy, VFR conditions. Windy, VFR conditions. Isabel, VFR conditions. Mentaska, VFR conditions. Tonita, VFR conditions. Portage, VFR conditions. And then Chillicook and White, IFR to marginal VFR. Then tomorrow morning's freezing levels, not surprising, the lowest freezing levels are they're basically from Seward northward at the surface and then 2,000 feet along the Brooks Range, with this cooler air sitting over there over the Beaufort Sea. Then higher freezing levels, again with the warm air getting pushed in with this occluded system that's starting to push into western Aleutians. As well as you get the high pressure system sitting through the central and southwest region. You'll have higher freezing levels as well. And then you got the ridge sitting over just over the southeast panhandle, extending down to the lower 48. So that's why you have higher freezing levels, 6,000 to 8,000 there as well. Tomorrow's icing, light to occasional moderate along the western Aleutians above 5,000. And then below 3,000, light to occasional moderate along pretty much the lower Chukchi Sea, extending up into the Beaufort Sea. And then the southeast above 7,000 for light occasional moderate over the southeast panel, extending over just south in the Gulf and extending over the last Aleutian range there. Not Aleutian range, but the eastern Aleutians. And then tomorrow's jet stream, you're going to have pretty much a northwesterly flow around this low pressure system sitting just south of the Kamchatka Peninsula, and then continued northwesterly flow, and then westerly, and then it transitions to southwesterly, then southerly as it goes on the backside of the high pressure sitting in the lower 48. So southerly flow there east of the southeast panhandle. You do have a westerly jet just north of the Seward Peninsula going across the Brooks Range, and that'll be for tomorrow's jet stream as well there. And then over just east of the Beaufort Sea, you have a southerly flow of 80 knots. And then tomorrow, 9,000 foot winds, high pressure dominating the Bering. A week, 10 to 15 knots circulating around the high pressure. The cyclonic flow, the strongest, will be right with this low pressure system. So southwesterly, the southerly flow over the western Aleutians, and then tapers off to 10 to 15. And then over the Gulf, you have this weak low pressure system here, closed low. That's easterly flow at 20 knots. And then the high pressure dominating the interior, you have westerly flow at 5 knots. And then northwest flow to westerly just east of the Dead Horse region. Tomorrow's 3,000 foot winds, again, high pressure dominating the northern Bering as well as the Brooks Range. So you're going to have 10 to 15 knots circling around the high pressure here. A little weaker, 5 to 10 in the Bering. Always your strongest winds, again, will be with this stacked vertically low pressure system over the western Aleutians. So southwesterly 20 to 30 knots, and then it tapers off to easterly 15 to 20 knots. Over the Gulf, you're going to have that vertically low that's stacked, that's continuing to weaken, and then you got 10 to 15 knots circling around that, and a weaker low pressure system just sitting north of Skagway. And then for tomorrow's turbulence, you have below 4,000 light to occasional moderate along the western Aleutians, and then below 4,000 light to occasional moderate over the Dixon entrance region. And we'll be back with your Marines after this.
Adventure and excitement certainly describe this man. The head coach of the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sam Wyche. You couldn't find a busier person who still finds the time to fly.
The opportunity to fly would also be functional for me because I do a lot of banquet speaking. I go places and need to be somewhere at 5:30 in the afternoon and would still like to get back that evening and not kill all day long in an airport or in a car driving somewhere. Plus just the fun of it. It's relaxing for me.
Relaxation isn't a word you would normally associate with being a pilot. But for Sam and a lot of us, that's just what it is.
As a football coach, I'm constantly worried about what players to play, whether to go for it on 4th down, what strategy to employ, and I can get up in that plane on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon before a Sunday game and lose myself. And for an hour, finding holes in the clouds, I can forget about football, because your attention has to be totally on that airplane when you're in the airplane. It is a serious business, but it's a very relaxing one.
Sam has to be pretty smart to be an NFL head coach, but you don't have to be a genius to learn to fly.
The skill is learnable by just about everybody. In the mental part of it, just like anything else, if you put the time in and do the studying that you have to do, which is more fun than study, you can learn it.
Even though Sam now owns an airplane, he started out by renting. As a matter of fact, about 2/3 of the pilot population rent when they want to fly. And renting definitely has advantages.
The nice thing about renting an airplane is you go out and you get in the airplane, you fly somewhere, and maybe you're in the air for an hour, and once you get there, you have lunch or you visit friends and you're there for 3 or 4 hours and get back in the plane and fly back. You may have had the plane all day, but you're only paying for the time that you're actually flying the airplane. So a 2-hour cost may benefit you a full day's enjoyment somewhere else.
Like most of us, learning to fly has been personally rewarding for Sam.
I enjoy getting in an airplane because it's beautiful up there. You get above the planet Earth. You can look down and see the relationships of places that you visit on the ground. You can see exactly how small you are in this big scheme of things at times. It puts a lot of things in perspective for you. But there is a freedom and there's a spirit up there that's just different. I think you'll have to get in the plane, get behind the controls and lift off, get up about 5,000 feet one time, and everyone knows what you're talking about.
One person for whom aviation has become a thoroughly enjoyable part of her life is Mary Lou Bowman. Her children were in college, out of town, and she wanted a way to see them without the long drive.
As I passed by a little airport near our home, I thought that would really be fun to learn to fly. And as I asked my husband about it, he encouraged me to go ahead, and I thought maybe I'm too old to start this, but it was so much of a challenge and so much fun that I continued to get my ratings and go ahead.
Mary Lou's hobby turned out to be more valuable than she first thought. Her husband, Don, a produce distributor, had designs on her newly acquired skill.
Right. I think we saw originally a need in the business. Being in the produce business, we go to a lot of out-of-the-way places, farming communities, things like that, where the product is grown and packed and so forth, and not accessible by airline, and just no way to get there very quick unless you can get into their small airports, and that was really a great benefit for us and what we were trying to do as far as the business was concerned. Take, for an example, a trip to Florida, where Florida has several different growing areas, the middle part of the state, down toward the Everglades and on into Miami and south of that. We can leave here early in the morning, visit all 3 of those, and still get back in the same day. And we couldn't do that any other way.
Beginning something new later in life may seem on the surface to be a bit daunting. Mary Lou didn't learn to fly until she had children in college. Initially, she had the same doubts you might imagine you would have in the same situation.
I started when I was 44 and really thought at the time, will I be able to do this since I'm getting a little bit older and I haven't studied? I haven't been to school in a long time. And I did all the ground school on my own, got the books and studied and passed all the writtens. And it was exciting. It was exciting to see what I could learn and what I could achieve.
While most pilots today are men, that's becoming less true all the time. Mary Lou has some advice for women contemplating aviation.
You shouldn't back off from learning to fly just because you're a woman, because it is a big thrill, and you can do it just as well or maybe better than the men.
The benefits of being a pilot is a common theme you'll hear when talking to people who have earned their wings. Just listen to Don Wyckoff, who grew up in a flying family and has been flying since he was a teenager.
Basically 300 or 400 miles away is a real comfortable little trip for a weekend, and that instead of taking you 8, 9, 10 hours to drive there, you can be there on a nice day in 3 or 4 hours. And instead of having the drudgery of driving those 10 hours, you can have 3 hours of your hobby en route to your weekend getaway.
Don also cherishes the camaraderie among pilots.
I think you'll find if you were just to fly from point A to airport B and land, walk out on the ramp, you'll probably strike up a conversation with someone that you've never met before, and chances are you'll never see again, but you have a common bond. It's the fact that you fly airplanes. And generally you'll find that whenever you're around another pilot, immediately the conversation strikes, so that no matter how hard your wife kicks you in the shin or anything like that, you're gonna be talking about airplanes. And it's a unique bond.
Don echoes the sentiments of not only Mary Lou and Sam, but most others who enjoy the privilege of flight.
Flying to me is an absolute bug. It's almost addicting. When the skies are clear and it's blue and you can see forever, you're not really interested in taking a ride in a car unless it's taking or driving your car down to the airport to go fly an airplane, because the conditions are perfect and you can go out and just kind of experience the freedom, be on your own, in control of your airplane. And it isn't work, it's fun.
These folks made the decision to step out of the ordinary and learn to fly. They're the ones who will be flying, not driving for hours, to take the kids to Grandma's. And while other people are stuck in traffic trying to get to those great resort destinations, they'll be out of their airplanes and on their way to the beach, the ski slope, or the golf course. The trip that's an all-weekend affair for most is a day trip for these busy, productive people who want the fun but don't want the hassle. And for them, those nearby getaways are now just a long lunch. The magic of flight. It happens some 50 million times a year. And for people just like you and me, getting to know your way around this new world can be as big a challenge as flight training itself.
All right, starting off with our sea ice analysis, we have pretty much open waters extending through the Bering Strait as well up into the lower Chukchi Sea. We still have some thicker ice along the Norton Kotzebue Sound here, as well as you're going along the northwest coastline. You do have some light ice that's going through the Norton Sound region and some light ice just on the southern end of St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, it continued thick ice pack there for most of the Beaufort Sea. Thursday's marine forecast for southeast, you're going to have southwesterly flow, small craft winds on the outside. The interior, you're going to have the strongest winds there at Dixon Entrance, and then they taper off to southerly at 10 there at Lynn Canal. And then for Friday's marine forecast, continued southeasterly flow, strongest winds on the outside and the Dixon Entrance region of 25 knots. You will have a chance of isolated thunderstorms with this include low pressure system as it continues to spit short waves along the southeast. And then the Thursday marine forecast for South Central, you're going to have variable winds predominantly on the eastern Kenai extending through the Bering Strait. Northerly winds 10 to 15 through the Cook Inlet, as well northerly through the Prince William Sound region. Otherwise, northeasterly flow through the Shelikof and the east side of Kodiak Island. Then for Friday, the marine forecast, you're going to have southerly winds to southwesterly through the Cook Inlet, variable through the western Barren Islands for that marine section. Otherwise, primarily all northeasterly flow 20 knots, 15 along the eastern Kenai, extending down to the Kodiak region. Variable winds 10 knots there for about these. And then for Thursday for the Alaska Peninsula, primarily all northwesterly, northerly on the Pacific side. And then for Friday, you're going to have westerly flow 15 to 20 knots, and then northwesterly there through the Shumigan Islands region. And then for Thursday, the marine forecast for the Aleutian Islands, predominantly all northwesterly flow 20 knots. And then on the little stronger there through the east of Nikolsky. Otherwise, the western near Shemya, you're going to have from Adak westward, you're going to have a southeasterly 25 knots. Friday, you're going to have a northerly 20 knots there east of Shemya. Otherwise, southerly flow there through the central, western to central Aleutians, 25 knots on the Bering side. Otherwise, easterly, western, through Dutch region as you go eastward. Otherwise, southerly 25 knots, small craft winds there. And then for Thursday, for the west coast, predominantly all northerly small craft winds, northeasterly coming through the Kuskokwim Delta Bay region, otherwise northerly near the Pribilofs. And then Friday, continued northwesterly to northerly through the Bering, light variable winds 10 knots there at St. Paul region. And then Thursday for the marine forecast for the Arctic coast, you're going to have northwesterly coming through the Bering Strait. Otherwise, it starts shifting southerly 15 to 10 knots, and then westerly east of Barrow. And then for Friday, you're going to have along the Arctic coastline, predominantly all easterly winds 10 to 15 knots. A little stronger there, just west of Wainwright, 20 knots. Otherwise, shifts to northeast and northwesterly as you're going through the Bering Strait at 15 knots. And then tonight's forecast, again, here's that occluded low pressure system that's sitting just south of southeast panhandle, occluded low. So you're going to have an onshore flow, some light rain. Otherwise, the interior, South Anchorage, southwest, extending all the way up to the Barrow region, you're going to have high pressure dominating, so mostly clear skies tonight. The Bering will have a weak trough extending through the central Aleutians into the lower Bering, so you have some scattered rain showers with that. Always the western Aleutians has this system starting to punch in, and then you're going to have southwesterly to southerly flow with light rain entering the western Aleutians. And then for Thursday's forecast, the occluded low pressure system moves farther east. You're going to have a wintry mix west of the Shemya. Otherwise, warmer temperatures east of Shemya, so you have scattered rain showers there and some light drizzle through the northern Bering. High pressure dominating the northern Bering, as well as you get north of the Brooks Range. So mostly clear skies. So sunny skies for tomorrow. Beautiful conditions. Otherwise, you have that low pressure system vertically stacked over the southeast southern portions of the Gulf. So continued onshore flow. These weak troughs will spin around this low pressure and then bring more precipitation into the southeast panhandle. Otherwise, the Anchorage Bowl extending northward to the Brooks Range will be beautiful skies tomorrow. Friday's forecast, the occluded low pressure system moves farther east along the chain, a southerly flow, warm air, so you're going to have a light rain and scattered rain showers. Farther north, high pressure dominating along the Beaufort Sea, and then you're going to have some chance of isolated thunderstorms or the Dixon entrance with this occluded low that's starting to fall apart over the southern Gulf. Otherwise, weak low setting over Alaska Range with scattered rain showers, as well as you get scattered rain showers along Kodiak. That's your Alaska weather. See you tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.